This is the High School Crossfire. Welcome back.
The panel, the two antagonistic sides, good evening. I would like to first pose a question for side negative. Do you hire mentally unstable people? If they do, then they're in a wrong debate. Because what causes this mental instability? They come here and tell us that they're going to have they're going to have checkups within the army. They're going to have constant checkups. They're going to check on these people if their mental state is okay. But to be truthful, because we do not hire mentally unstable people, that means that the conditions that they're working in are going to cause them to be mentally unstable. We gave you a story of Mr. Sachitoleko, a man who is living a simple life, but because of the conditions of his bosses, he fails to actually do what he's supposed to do and actually kills his boss. Now, let me tell you, let's actually bring this to the real life. We have heard of Minister Engola. The man went to the streets shouting, "Pay me my money, pay me my money." That is actual evidence that is them not stressing me. The man who killed Miss Engola made him come and actually do what he did. It is financial stress, not mental instability, because this mental instability is going to be caused by financial stress. Because I know them aside negatives, they would never hire someone who is mentally unstable. They come here and talk
Point of information.
They come here and talk about rejection. They come here and talk about the 1,030 shillings, dear judges. Let's divide 130 shillings by 30 days within the month. Is that enough money for someone to survive in this country? And let's even correct them. They did come here and tell us for which people was it said. Now we're talking about the men in uniform. The men in uniform right now paid 310,000 and the rate increases per year by 4%. And that is what we expected them for them to be, but they don't give us this fact. So we told them, let's go by their word. Let's go by their money. Let's divide 130,000 divide by 30 days of the month. Is that money enough? Actually, it's less than $1. And according to statistics, a person is supposed to earn $1 a day to be under the poverty line. And guess what? This money is not enough for them to be under the poverty line.
Point of
then
information.
they come here and talk about in countries where they have the minimum wage. Where do they succeed? Let's talk about a country like Canada. Canada has a legislative minimum wage. A person is supposed to earn $30 per hour. Canada is one of the thriving countries we have now. And then they come here and talk about economic depression. Economic depression when they are giving people 130,000 is more on their side because a person cannot even afford a bare meal within a day. What do they expect them? What do they expect us to come and say? They come here and talk about how it's happening in only low ranks. Let's bring the example of Minister Engola. The Minister Engola, what happened to him? Yes, the person who must have killed him was from low ranks, but this is also affecting someone who is his boss, seeing that it's going to affect. Dear judges, we come here and tell you that the cases that happen where someone of low ranks is killing someone of high ranks because of money issues are really increasing. Because what happened? We had the scenario for Minister Engola, then for the scenario for the Indian, the money lender. Do you see that this is actually causing a chain of financial something that is caused by lack of financial stability? We come here and tell them the story of Mr. Sachitoleko. Dear judges, let's walk into Mr. Sachitoleko's world again. Dear judges, we are human beings and we are expected. Mr. Sachitoleko has a family and you're giving him, let's say, 130,000 a month. Do you expect this to be enough for him, for his 6 children, for his wife to actually do what he's supposed to do? No, it is not enough, causing him to have mental instability that is going to cause him to what? To come and and then they give us a policy. They come and give us a policy, but they don't actually show us how it's going to work. They don't show us how them doing is, how are they actually going to put it into action? How are they going to go and, let's say yesterday, where are they going to get the money to? Because right now Uganda is in a red flag zone, we cannot borrow money. How is it going to be actually executed? They don't give us that. It actually puts us in questions because we don't have enough funds in the country to do that. Then they come and they talk about misuse of guns. Let me tell you, it takes guts for me to misuse a gun. That is caused by when Mr. Sachitoleko, I'm being affected, and I decide, let me get this gun to go misuse it. It is because you have failed to pay me what I paid. Mr. Sachitoleko was doing work for someone who should earn 800,000, but he was receiving their 130,000. Would you like to be Mr. Sachitoleko, dear judges? I rest my case.
Are we solving problems or creating more problems? A good evening to all. My name is Sisache Emmanuel, Mark Team Negative Resolved. As a result of high rates of suicide and high cases of gun violence more so by men in uniform, this House blames the lack of minimum wage legislation as the major cause. Ladies and gentlemen, the AFAMAs clearly came and talked about mental illness due to lack of minimum wage legislation. I would like to pose a question to them. How does minimum wage legislation being put in place going to eradicate this mental illness, because we find out that mental illness can be caused by other factors like drug abuse and post-traumatic disorder. Ladies and gentlemen, they came and talked about financial stress as well. How does the minimum wage being put in place going to eradicate the financial stress? Because this has always been there, and then how sure are we that it is going to work? Ladies and gentlemen, these people came and talked about over-exploitation of these workers. That is why we came and said that we are going to increase the salaries of these people, not putting a minimum wage, because a minimum wage can be low. What then? Do you mean that people are going to receive a lot of money if at all you put a minimum wage in place, ladies and gentlemen? That I leave to you. Ladies and gentlemen, lack of minimum wage is indeed the cause, but not the major cause of high rates of suicide, ladies and gentlemen. There are other major causes. For example, big salary differences. She said it herself, where a man was receiving low salary compared to her boss, implying that if at all we are to increase the salary of these people, we are going to solve this issue, not putting a minimum wage, which we are actually not sure about. Ladies and gentlemen, when we take a look at mental illness and post-traumatic disorder, we realize that it is also a main cause of high rates of suicide. Ladies and gentlemen, we should not blame lack of minimum wage, because one of the problems is that employees working for full-time cannot afford basic necessities across the entire country. Ladies and gentlemen, it will not offer personal growth opportunities, in that I have a fixed wage, and of which I am working for full time. Ladies and gentlemen, we clearly showed you that it may cause unemployment in a way that it is going to limit people working in companies, since a person is in a way going to choose not to work just because the minimum wage is low. By you putting in place this minimum wage, which we are actually not sure about, someone may choose not to work because it may be low. Who is going to increase? Who is going to pay you more money compared to the minimum wage? If at all it is 200,000, will you expect 500,000? If the minimum wage is 200,000, ladies and gentlemen, they left it hanging and they did not talk about it. Instead of implementing this minimum wage, let us cater for these other problems that these people are facing. Let us increase the salaries of these people who are putting on uniform. Let us closely monitor these people who are having weapons, ladies and gentlemen. We cannot just put in place this minimum. By the way, Uganda does not need a minimum wage, because Uganda's informal sector is wider than its formal sector, implying that we do not need this minimum wage they are talking about. We ask them a question: at what extent is this minimum wage the major factor? What is your source of proof or your information that minimum wage is the major factor? Give us a number, please, that clearly shows that minimum wage is the major cause of these high rates of suicide and gun violence. Ladies and gentlemen, if the affirmers have failed to show us the way to go, of whom shall we be afraid? I gladly rest my case.
This is the High School Crossfire. We'll be back in a minute.